Hello, welcome back to our Global Success Summit. It's Elizabeth and Chris returning with our very next guest. We are so excited to have her.
We have Denise Zack with us. Denise, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
So you're brave to go last.
I know. I had to watch all of the expertise and amazing people talk all day long and think, how am I going to add value to this?
And you're going to do it beautifully. You're going to do it beautifully. And you're going to start by holding up that book that you have and showing off that book. You're an incredible woman. You deserve to be here. I have the Ripple Effect. I just ordered it. It just arrived 2 days ago. I should have brought mine over.
That's awesome.
I can't wait. My pleasure. My pleasure.
We've been joking that in order to be a speaker, you have to have a book and you have to hold it up and wave it around.
The M today.
But tell us about Ripple Affect. It's not the E, it's the A.
Yeah. So it is a book that was inspired by just a tough time that I was going through in my life. And I was going through my yoga teacher training at the same time. And I started learning mindfulness and meditation. And when I came out of those sessions, I felt better. And I thought, gosh, life isn't great right now and I'm feeling good. So what is that dichotomy all about? But the title came from the affect that I understood how to work through difficult situations without losing it. Mindfulness and meditation helped me to do that. And so the affect is kind of my affect and how it ripples out from me, but also that we share energy from other people. Other people impact me with their affect. And so, there's a whole slew of connections that go along with that. But that was basically the premise of it, was to help people understand how to control their emotions a little bit better, how to be able to not get triggered, how to not feel out of control, and to be able to be more effective in their lives. So that was the whole idea behind the book.
Yeah. And that's a huge skill set you're talking about there, not getting triggered and being able to proceed with calmness or a decided choice. And I know you're the mindfulness queen. So circle us into that. Give us your version of what is mindfulness and how does it help people in their everyday lives?
Yeah. So for me, mindfulness is being aware of the present moment. It's being aware of everything you can see, touch, taste, smell, and hear. It's being aware of also your thoughts, your emotions, and your body sensations. When you are more aware of that, you are accessing and you're paying attention to that in the present moment. You're accessing a part of the brain that's responsible for calming you down and being more effective and making better decisions. And when you act from that part of the brain and not the part of the brain that wants to freak you out, in the midbrain, our fight, flight, or freeze response, which a lot of people have talked about today, we're able to be a lot more aware of what our needs are, what our desires are, what our goals should be from a more thoughtful standpoint, as opposed to from a reactive space or an impulsive space, which a lot of people make rash decisions when they're upset. They make poor decisions when they're triggered. And so the book is all about teaching mindfulness to people in a way that helps them to kind of develop that clarity of mind. It can also ease distress, because when you're taking a step back from automatic reactions and from being triggered in difficult or challenging situations, you don't get as worked up. You feel more calm. And mindfulness has the ability to do that if you practice it on a regular basis.
And that must make people more successful. Imagine if your boss was calm and cool and collected and mindful and
all the time, right?
You as the boss.
I was going to say, even if you are the boss.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. It's kind of like, we kind of go on overdrive all the time, and we just kind of get up and we think we have to do 9 million things, and we're on a hamster wheel and we've got to get this done, and that person's not doing it fast enough. This person isn't showing up the right way, or this person's in my way, or this person's holding me back. And really, at the end of the day, if you're practicing mindfulness, I mean, it's not that you can't confront a difficult situation. You're not a passive person. You're not a non-reactive person at all if you're practicing mindfulness. But what it helps you to do is focus in a particular way that is non-judgmental. And then by default, you're able to communicate differently and more effectively. You're able to choose your words as opposed to blurting things out that you later want to take back and regret. It helps you control your emotions, and because you're listening better. And really at the end of the day, I think you make better decisions as a result of that, and you're able to really prioritize what you want in your life. Because, and who doesn't want to do that? I mean, who doesn't want to be able to kind of take that step back and be thoughtful about how they're walking through their life?
Yeah.
When we said success on your terms is going to be the title of our Global Success Summit, what did you think? What did you feel? What did you hear? What did you do?
Yeah, I mean, I thought about how mindfulness has changed my life, and how I feel more successful as a businesswoman, but I also feel more successful as a wife, as a mother, as a sister, as a friend, because I listen differently. I also pay attention to how I'm interacting with people differently, and I try to use that mindfulness in a way that I hope makes an impact in people's lives. And so when I thought about the Success Summit, for me, it was all about how mindfulness can really help you create the life that you want to live, and really just help you feel better about yourself, just kind of as you walk through your day. No one's perfect. Everyone's going to make their mistakes. We're all fallible, but I'm not going to beat myself up for a week when I make that mistake that I might have done when I was 20 years old. And so I own it. I own my stuff. I address it. I apologize when I need to, and then I move forward. So that for me is success, because, I think when we're able to kind of own our stuff and really identify how we're showing up to our day, the good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent, then I think we're all more cautious and careful and compassionate about how we're interacting with people. And so that was kind of for me how I took this piece. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, mindfulness is such a buzzword these days, and there's all kinds of different ways to engage with it and use it and practice it and everything like that.
Yeah.
What do you think people misunderstand most about mindfulness?
Yeah, I think people either overcomplicate it or they oversimplify it. They think, oh, mindfulness is going to make me happy. And the reality is, mindfulness doesn't make you happy. The practice of mindfulness allows you to make better choices in your life. And if you make better choices in your life, you probably will be more satisfied. You'll probably feel better if you're not overreacting and getting triggered every 5 minutes. But it doesn't make you happy. And the overcomplication of it, I think, is that sometimes people think it's this ethereal, I have to get to this existential place of being on a mountaintop and floating on air, where you're getting to this kind of elevated space. And it's not that hard. I mean, it is basically paying attention in the moment. 99% of our distress comes from worrying about the past and fretting about the future. And so we spend so much time in those places. We are very rarely in the present moment. 50% of the time, we are not focused exactly 100% on what we need to be doing. And I think the number's actually higher than that. I think that's a conservative. That's a conservative number. But so I think that people think that it might be this challenging thing that they have to change their entire life, and they have to completely do a 180 in order to be able to benefit from mindfulness. And you can do one small thing every day. Just, when you're eating, just eat. Just pay attention to the way the food smells, the way it tastes, the texture of it, how your belly feels once you're full, or when you're driving, just drive. You can be mindful in the nooks and crannies of your day and benefit from it. Because when you're not worried about the past and fretting about the future, and storytelling on top of that, which is a huge problem that we all do when we think about the past and when we worry about the future, that we ruin the present moment. That's all it does. It doesn't, that anxiety, that angst, that frustration, it doesn't do anything to solve any problems. It only ruins what's going on right now.
How do you resolve ambition then? Because ambitious people think forward, and we're prone to anxiety because we do that.
Yeah. So and I think there's a difference between forward thinking and planning and fretting and ruminating, right? I will say that very driven people, entrepreneurs, people who are, doing running a business on their own tend to be a little bit more intense when it comes to kind of like moving and going and 24/7 and everything is on my shoulders. So I think that they might be at a little bit of a disproportionate space for feeling anxious. But there's a very big difference between me sitting down right now and putting a business plan together about what I need to do for the next 7 days so that I can market my book in a more effective way, as opposed to no one's going to buy the book. No one's going to buy it. I'm a failure. I shouldn't have written it. That's a huge difference. And so forward thinking and planning is awesome and it's great. And what do I need to do right now in order to take action in that forward thinking plan?
Yeah. Those are all really good points for entrepreneurs and business people and that life in general. But why do you think so many people struggle with finding success then, or taking their lives to the next level? It's one thing to sit here and the three of us can talk about it and we've had experiences with it, but for some of our listeners or people that even we know, they're not finding success. Well, why is that? What do you think that is about?
I think there's a few things. Number one, I think people are comfortable where they are. They're comfortable in their space. They're in a comfort zone. We don't grow from our comfort zone. We don't learn a lot from our comfort zone. We stay, it's comfortable and it's safe, but that's about it. And we're also really fearful of the unknown. If I'm in my comfort zone, I'm thinking, well, I really want to go to Italy and travel Europe, but what will happen when I get there, and what will knock me over, or what if it's not safe? Then I might just stay exactly where I am. So I think people being in their comfort zone, number one, is something that they struggle with when it comes to success. So I would try to be mindful about that and have people really check in about what it is that's holding them back. I also think that people get myopic about their thoughts too. They kind of put blinders on and they're not necessarily seeing all of the options. They're just kind of on overdrive, and that can set us up for failure sometimes. And I don't mean failure that we have to be able to get back up again, but making more mistakes that we can lose our energy a lot quicker. And so I think when we're more myopic, we tend to kind of just be a little bit more rigid. And we tend to be more kind of very specific about what it is that we want, how we want to get there. And I think when it comes to success, you have to be agile. You have to be flexible. You have to turn left and right. You have to pivot sometimes. And so I think that can get in the way. And I think also sometimes people take on too much. They try to they're going to do everything and they're going to do it all. And they're doing it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. They just start and they go. And I think that that's ambitious, but you need to have, people talked all day about relationships and having people around you, the way the two of you met and how you've supported one another. You need a trusted tribe of people that have your back and that are going to be honest with you when you need them to be honest, but not break you down, and not on the flip side of that, you listen to every critical word that they say and then you feel deflated by it. So I think those are the reasons why people get stuck and not move forward, because they're worried about that approval seeking, or they're taking on too much, or they're not flexible, or they're just kind of staying in their comfort zone.
Mm-hmm. Don't you think everybody needs those outside eyes like that? I don't know very many people who have, let's just go global success, or whatever kind of success you want, without coaching. I mean, if you think of athletes, managers, corporations, business owners, everybody, there's coaches and mentors involved. There's a flight path, and if you want on the flight path, it's so much easier to turn to somebody on the flight path and have them show you. Lot less turbulence.
And so there's different levels, I think, of support that we can have. It's the people closest to us, right? And I forget her name. One of the guests today was talking about the gate, and that she was the only one with the combination to it, right? Yeah. So you have your closest people, and there were a couple of people who might have had the combination to a particular particular gate, but you have your closest people to you, and those are the ones that you trust inherently with everything. But they're also personally invested in your life, and that can be challenging sometimes. So the idea of having a coach, I think, is invaluable, because that's an objective person that is there 100% for your benefit and looking at the good stuff and the bad stuff. And they're not as invested in whether you make a mistake because their heart is going to break and that's going to impact how they talk to you. They're interested in your success and how they're kind of helping you to move forward in the most effective way. So I think there's lots of different eyes that we have on us in our lives, at different phases. And I think coaches can be invaluable.
Well, we agree. We're all coaches here, but yeah. But honestly, that is something Elizabeth and I both stand for and believe in as coaches with Best Ever You. And hearing you talk about it, I'm just sitting here nodding my little head off, going, yes, yes, yes. So beautifully said. Thank you for that, Denise. What is one lesson that you have learned in your life that you think everyone should learn?
I think from what happens in our society is we tend to be really negative, and we tend to focus on the negative. We tend to over and hyper focus on the bad things that have happened. And I think that for me, in the course of my life and in working as a therapist for 20 years, people don't come into the office because they're happy. They're not talking to you about all the wonderful things that are going on in their life. And so there can be times where I was talking with people where I would feel like, wow, all we're paying attention to is the negative. And so my lesson is that I tried to, when I would work with the people that I was doing therapy with and the people that I coach, is to not just always focus on the weeds in your garden. There will always be weeds. And if we're always hyper-focused on those weeds, what's going to happen is we're only going to be focused on the negative things that are happening. And yes, we need to problem solve. Yes, we need to work through difficult situations, but we don't need to always be negative and always be looking at the negative things. We can have painful things happen, and we can look at the beauty in life, and we can look at all the good things that are going on in our life. And I think that we tend not to do that, almost because we're afraid the other shoe's going to drop, or, well, I can't be happy for too long because inevitably something is going to go wrong, and I don't want to fall too far down from the happiness wheel. So I think that focusing on the positive is something we all should practice.
Do you know I grew a 15-foot weed and a piece, like an actual weed in my garden this year?
Really?
I did, I just wanted to prove that if you focus on the weed, it'll be the tallest plant. My husband's like, "You're not really going to do that, are you?" And I'm like, "Yes, I am. I'm going to prove that if I focus on this weed, it's going to outgrow everything." And the thing was 15 feet tall when we finally cut it down. And I'm like, "See, if you focus on the weed."
Well, we need to pay attention to those things, right? We need to address them as they're coming up, but not all the weeds all the time. Like, really take the time to stop.
I really did that, though.
The beauty of life. Yeah.
That thing was huge. It was twice me. It was just really funny. But anyway, it was funny. But we finally cut it down. We're like, yeah, that's not a flower. It's a weed.
You were waiting for beautiful. Right?
I wished. That's awesome. Can you talk about parenting for a little bit? Because you've got kids, and I noticed you've been doing some parenting workshops. Tell us about those and why. And yeah, I'll just stop there. I won't ask multiple questions. I've got them, but I'm going to.
Yeah. So I guess the push for me is twofold. One is I've had a number of teachers reach out to me lately wanting me to do some workshops with their students in their classrooms. And I, as a therapist, in the past, I worked with a lot of college students, and I always wished that there was mindfulness in the schools earlier, because students go through very difficult things when they're young, and they don't know anything better than how their parents are managing them. And if their parents aren't managing it well, if they don't have a lot of support, then they're going to struggle in managing their stress. That was one fold. And twofold is the second piece is I wish that I knew mindfulness when I was bringing my kids up when they were younger. I was a therapist, so I always had those kind of notes to self: don't do this, don't do that, when I would hear students come into my office, but I wasn't really practicing mindfulness until 2011. And that's when I started practicing it regularly. And I thought, wow, this is good stuff. And parents need to know this, and children need to learn this. And if we can change the way that we operate and show up with our children, we're going to teach them resilience beyond anything imaginable, because a lot of children right now, if they don't have good role modeling around how to get back up, how to think positively, how to take a step back and observe themselves and manage difficult situations, and know when they're struggling and how to ask for help, then, you know, it causes lots and lots of problems. And the more mindfulness we can teach children and emotional intelligence we can teach children, the better. So that's why I was focusing recently on parents and children.
Beautiful.
It's true. It's true though. I feel similar to you in that I wish I had known about it earlier. I wish that I could have used the mindful techniques I use now to help me with my anger in my 20s and whatever it was.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
And so, I mean, knowing what you know now, if you could go back to your 18-year-old self and give that 18-year-old Denise one piece of advice, what would it be?
Which isn't that long ago, Denise. So
yeah, right.
last week.
Yeah. I would two things. I would tell myself to start meditating immediately, because it has transformed my life. Mindfulness and meditation has transformed my life. Mm-hmm. I think the other thing would be patience on a lot of different levels, but mainly for just letting life unfold in front of you and not worrying so much about what's going to happen tomorrow and what if this and what if that, and am I going to be okay? Am I going to meet the right person? And will my life be all right? And when I graduate, will I get a job? And what kind of job am I going to get? And that, yeah.
The will eyes.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I feel like I would have asked myself or talked to myself and said, just be patient. Let the path unfold in front of you and just breathe.
Can you back up, put your therapist hat on for a minute, and tell us why we get the will eyes from, go back to what happened to us in our childhood or whatever it is that makes us prone to get the will eyes?
So I think lots of different things. We're programmed, our brains are programmed from a very young age, how our parents behaved, how they were parented when they were children filters into how they parent you. And so there's a bunch of different things. One is how your parents operate in the world and the messages that you were sent as a child, even if you were loved. There could have been some negative messaging if your parents suffered from a mental illness or had drug addiction or had a high stress job or was never around, or you had to move a lot and there was a lot of chaos in the house. That can lead to someone feeling uncomfortable or unsure or not really positive about who they are. They may not develop a strong sense of identity, and that can create a lot of uncertainty about the future and kind of where they belong. I also think, especially today, less in the past, there's a lot of comparison, a lot of judgment, and a lot of immediate, constant infiltration of news, media, chaos, and negativity. And everybody's trying to keep up with the Joneses, and everyone's competing with everyone else, and everyone's judging themselves at the same time. And as a result of that, people are incredibly insecure and anxious and frustrated. And so we have a lot of kind of second guessing that happens. Like, will I be okay? Are things going to be all right? Will that happen to that person? What about me? I'm not safe. Or, look at the world. Is it ever going to be normal again? Those kinds of things filter in, and I think really do a disservice. So I don't watch the news unless I need to inform myself about something, and then I'm very specific about which news stations I watch, because you can only believe a certain percentage of what you see anyway. So
yeah, what are some things we can do aside from that to turn off the will eyes, because that's anxiety in full swing.
Yeah.
Sure. And you're just so far ahead of yourself trying to control. To me, it's almost like you're trying to control everything and can't, and so it just fuels the anxiety a little bit better. Do you have a tactic or two that you can give us to kind of meditating, if you can? I know you're gonna I feel like you're gonna pull meditating in, which is good. I'm gonna hold that one. Two other ones. I want to come back to meditating if I can.
I'll just say a couple of mindfulness techniques. I have a 3x3x3 technique that I teach people. And one is to first notice 3 things in your body. Just close your eyes and take a couple deep breaths and notice, your heartbeat, notice what you feel, how you feel sitting in the chair, notice any sounds around you. If you have any tension in your body, just pay attention to 3 things. And then I usually do this at night. I ask people to think about 3 things that they're grateful for. What 3 things are amazing in your life? And it could be you got a front parking spot at the grocery store when it was raining to, I got my book published. It doesn't have to be a huge thing. It can be the smallest little thing or the hug you got from, yeah. And then, and then the next thing I ask people to do is then think about 3 things that you would like to do tomorrow that would make you feel good about yourself, that would make you feel successful, that would make you feel like you made an impact, that would make you feel like you changed someone's life, or that you may think would change your life in a positive way. And then write it down. And then tomorrow try to take action on it.
I almost fell asleep. Sorry. That was beautiful. Yeah, I love it. So 3 by 3 by 3. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
That was helpful too. I was following you as you were talking. So
good.
Yeah. And then talk about meditating, because I know you love meditation and yoga, and I know it's changed your life.
Yeah.
What kind of meditation?
So I love a lot of different kinds of meditation. When I need a real, like a stiff pick me up, I'm going to go to a mantra meditation, and I'm going to come up with something that really empowers me. And even if I just do, 3 minutes of that, I'll do that, and just sit calmly and just center myself and come up with, and it could be I'm powerful, or I'm a good person, or I'm going to be okay, or I'm safe, or, I have amazing people in my life, or whatever it is. I'll come up with a mantra. I love music meditation. You've had a lot of artists on your show today. A lot of artists, musicians, creative artists. And I wonder about that connection. I don't think that is a coincidence. No. I think that there's really something interesting about accessing emotional parts of the brain and creative activity. And so I think that for me, music meditation is incredibly powerful. Music has patterns. It has sounds that impact us and make us feel something. And I have my go-to songs when I need to pick me up, but I also have my go-to songs when I need to meditate. I have a 25-minute meditation that's music that just, it hits me in the heart, and it gets me into a centered place. And I do it on a regular basis. My husband and I actually do it together.
Awesome. That's cool. Yeah. Is that, would that be like slow music, or what kind of music is that? Because I'm not for anything piano.
Yeah.
Piano.
Yep. So it's a combination. One is a chanting. One is a Buddhist chant. There's like 6 songs in there. One is environmental sounds with birds and water, and then some violins. Another one is piano. So it's a mishmash of things, but they all kind of touch me in a particular way. And so, yeah, that's why.
Awesome. So I just looked at the time, because I had my eyes closed, and now they're open, and we're over a little bit, but that's okay, because we've loved having you here. Is there anything we haven't covered that you want to cover? Really
in
fast?
2 minutes and 12 seconds or less.
Yeah, 1 minute. Maybe just your website and
yeah. I think you've covered everything that needs to be covered about life and success today. So I thank you both for putting this on. I think you did an amazing job. You're both amazing people, and the energy that you've kept up all day is just awesome. So thank you. And thank you for having energy left for me, the last person of the day. I appreciate that. My website is www.denisezacklifecoach.com. Zack is ZACK.com. DZ Mindful Coach on Instagram. My Mindful Life Coaching on Facebook.
TikTok.
I'm on TikTok. I don't know. I don't know on TikTok. Anyway,
puppies and mindful on TikTok, but
yeah.
Just
I'm in the middle of a series of the lesser known anxiety symptoms. So
yeah, I like that. I watched that today, actually, in between a couple things. I like that. You have a 10-part anxiety symptom series going on, so it's good. So anyway, all right. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
Great. We'll hold up that book maybe one more time.
Oh, yeah. And if anybody wants to dive into this head first, I'm going to be in Italy April 9th through the 16th next year, diving into this book head first. So you get in this a full, all-inclusive, awesome experience. So join me.
It looks great. All the details are on Denise's website. So thank you once again, Denise, Zack, everybody. And this is us saying goodbye from Elizabeth, Chris, and Denise, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
Thank you, Denise. Bye.
Thank you.